should let me love you forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Happy Taco Tuesday! Welcome to TMW Online, the Melanated Way. I am Linda. That is Abby. You're probably surprised to see us 2 days in a row, back to back, but we are catching up on all things 90 Day Fiancé, the OG, Season 12, Episode 9, actions louder than words. Abby, overall thoughts on this episode?
The title is apt, but we're not that much new stuff is being introduced, but there are some interesting relationship things that we can talk about.
100%. Hey, Becca. She said,
Hey, Becca.
yes, I caught the intro song. Isn't it catchy? It's a catchy song. It's catchy. We have an outro. I got to add it. It's a whole thing. We're going to do that too. We're going to jump right in, you guys, and we're going to start with Marissa and Edward. Oh, God. Okay, so I know that, in real life that this couple makes it, right? So spoiler alert, if that's the word on the street, if they make it. Hey, Lori, Stories and Crochet. I'm going to go with you, Abby, first. What are your overall thoughts on Marissa and Edward and what's going on here?
I think that Marissa has a lot of things going on that she's never had to confront in her life before. I don't want it to sound like I'm being sympathetic to her because of that, but I do think that she's dealing with some things that she's never had to think about, like she's bringing a person who is not white into her neighborhood, into her family, and I don't really think that she really considered that before.
But is it only her responsibility to consider it, or should it be both of them that are considering it?
I mean, he's grown, so obviously he can get on the computer and do some research too, but I guess I have to put more of the responsibility on her because she knows the environment that she's bringing him into, and he doesn't. Like, he could guess about it, but he doesn't. And then, like, there are just a lot of people outside of the US. You can tell me what your perception is after coming here, but what I hear from a lot of people who are outside is that they'll specifically say me, I talk about and think about race too much. But then if they ever have a chance to come here, or if they actually get into the history of what it's like to be here, they understand that race is the floor of everything. They understand that some cities don't have public transportation, or the public transportation doesn't go certain places because of race. They understand that we don't have Medicare for all because of race. I think that some people think that we Black Americans exaggerate about the effect that race has on this country until they actually experience it. And so he could have been one of those people who just didn't know the true environment he was going into.
Okay, everything that you say is true. As a immigrant and coming to America, I definitely did have some rude awakenings because, yes, race is the base of everything in America. And even though I'm Black, I'm not a Black American. And there were a lot of rude awakenings and lessons I had to learn. So that's true. However, I do think that the both of them, I'm sorry, you guys, I just get Molly and Louise vibes from this episode specifically. I don't know. I think that like he doesn't have the money and his ID and all the things from last episode, yet he knows that there are thousands of Dominicans in New York City specifically. So you did some type of research.
Yeah. Or just had some word of mouth. But I'm going to say this, which I've said before on episodes past. When you come to the US and you know that you're going to be out of work for some period of time, you need to have some kind of passion project that you're working on, that you don't feel like useless, that you feel like it's a good use of your time, whether that's you're going to build your social media on trying new foods around the new city that you've moved into, whether you're going to write a book, which is a real thing that somebody did. If you've watched The Last Kingdom, that person wrote that while he was waiting for his work permit to come in. Okay. If you're going to learn a new thing, I'm going to learn how to roller skate, I'm going to learn how to braid hair, whatever it is, you need to have some kind of plan of how you're going to spend that time so that you feel productive within yourself, or else it's just a miserable time.
Agreed. Hey, fizzies. Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, if you have the time to know about the Dominicans, you have the time to learn a little bit more about where you're going. Like, there's no way that I'm moving somewhere and not do any type of research. That sounds crazy to me.
Yeah.
But they're taking a day trip from Pennsylvania into New York City because Marissa has to go back to work, and they're driving through New York City, excuse me, New Jersey. And Abby, I think that you probably know because so first of all, they're driving through New Jersey. There is an area in New Jersey that is all industrial, and it does smell nasty. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's not even, they said it smells like farts, but it smells like, to me, it smells like, what am I trying to say? It's like metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really terrible. But
We have
then
a stinky place here. You guys, I felt like all cities have a nearby stinky place. In DC, the water treatment plant smells horrible on that one stretch of 295 when you're driving through. If anybody's local, you know what I'm talking about. The water treatment plant's there. It stinks there.
and also New York City. If you go to New York City in the summertime, I mean, good luck to you. Good luck to you because the garbage on the side of the road. I'm trying to. I keep telling you guys, and I think that if I could be mayor of New York City, that would be my first priority. Why are you guys not picking up the trash every single day? You can create jobs, more jobs. There's so much trash and there's so many rats because it sits there for every other day and it piles up. Like a wall of trash, and it smells like trash. And then it's hot and humid and it's a concrete junk. Anyways, don't get me started. So the smells are all over the place. They're driving in, and Marissa is showing him, some of the infamous landmarks of New York City. And again, Edward, I'm just trying to figure you out. How he doesn't know what the Empire State Building is, Abby. He's never seen it in his entire 32 years of life. Like, even if you don't travel, what are you talking about? Besides 9/11, where we all saw on the news 24/7 for at least a month, you don't know the Empire State Building. You don't know what that looks like, Abby.
I got nothing. I'm sorry. I want to make an excuse for him, but I
Okay,
can't
there's
because
no excuse. There's no excuse. It's worldwide. You can't recognize what that is. So you've done no research, but you know that there are thousands of Dominicans. That is why I feel like he's giving me Luis vibes. So he's excited to see New York City. As they're driving in, he thinks that it's huge in person. I've never been to the Dominican, but New York City is not huge. It's not huge. This island is not huge, but I mean, maybe that's the vibe. My first time being in New York City, I didn't feel like it was huge. First time in Los Angeles, it felt like it was huge because it is huge. There are places in Los Angeles that people don't even know about because it's so big. I don't get that same vibe of New York City, but here we are. So he's excited to play first time tourist in his life because, as you guys know, he's never traveled anywhere in his life. And so they pull up to her apartment. So now she has a house in Pennsylvania, and then she has a New York City apartment. And she tries to minimize the apartment, but you guys, New York City is so expensive. And my note literally says her apartment is fire. It's not huge, but it's fire. I don't know what street it's on, but if you can afford to have an apartment that you don't live in full time in New York City, you're doing something right. What do you think, Abby?
I mean, same. I think she wanted to set the expectation that it wasn't like sprawling like her home that they've been at, But for me, what she had in New York was well above average.
Well above average. Well above average. Yes, absolutely. So she shows him around. He is fascinated by the motion sensor trash can. I felt they spent way too much time on that. It just made it just, I don't know. Abby, it just made it seem really,
Ridiculous.
yes,
Just walk away, girl. Let him play with the trash can all he wants to. He'll figure it out.
yes, exactly. Then the second thing that was really disappointing to me is the Chrysler State building. He just didn't recognize any of New York City staples, and I just find it really hard to believe. I just find it hard to believe. So they go into the city, um, and they are out for a rooftop dinner. He's feeling a little bit aggravated towards her because he feels pressure. Um, and literally lays out he comes from nothing, he's never traveled, he has no money, and she has everything. Her lifestyle is something that he's not used to, and so he's feeling pressured to live up to the lifestyle she's used to. He feels like she likes to control everything, but he's a man and he feels like he should be the one in control, and therefore she just needs to give him a little bit of time so that he can be the person in control. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, Abby. So I'm going to let you go first before I go off on a tangent.
Oh, and that's the reason why I said what I said earlier. If you are a man who has those kind of beliefs and thoughts that you need to be the one in charge, then you need to be sitting down and coming up with a plan for how you're going to get there. Am I going to take some classes? Is there a community college nearby I can enroll in? What can I easily get a certificate in so I can start working as soon as my work permit comes in or as soon as my green card comes in? But we don't see him making a plan of any sort. He just wants to be the man because he has a member. But being a man is what the title says. Actions speak louder than words. It's in your actions, not in, well, I exist and I'm a man, so now I get to make the decisions. Now you must respect me. No, what is your plan for how you are going to lighten the load of her life?
Yeah, so I'm going to say she wants him to be productive as a man in life and doesn't know if he can do it. She wants him to think ahead. Uh, he says he just needs some time to think ahead. However, she does go on to say that she hasn't seen him be successful in his life at all. And I was like, whoa. So you decided that you, as a hyper type A personality who brought your vacay bay over to marry, decided that that's your person, but you then also think that you've never seen him be successful in his life in general, even in the Dominican Republic, yet you decided that you still wanted to marry him. That's a lot of expectation, and that's also a lot of just, what are you in this for? Because if it's just you guys are getting great eggplant together, then that tells me a lot about who you are. You don't think he could be successful because you've never seen him successful, and you, as a successful entrepreneurial woman that owns 2 homes and is a mom and is a boss CEO, is bringing what, the pool boy over? Like, make it make sense. I just don't understand it. And so then I see where the stresses are, because you guys haven't had the conversations about what this is really going to look like.
Right. And it's so confusing to me because they have nothing but time to talk. When they're apart from each other, they have nothing but time to talk. And I don't understand why there's no, what are we going to do leading up to the time that we can apply for your green card? Like, how are you going to spend your days? How come nobody says, hey, what do you think how you want to spend your days when you get here? How come nobody seems to say that?
I don't understand it either. Becca says vacation bay on vacation mode. Facts. Fun fact. Fizzy says here in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, we have the Reynolds building.
And I feel like I've heard that name before.
Same. And the Empire State Building, to me, I think, is a building that is recognizable through just media. You should know what it looks like. Facts.
I mean,
Facts.
it's in Jay-Z's videos.
I mean, this is the whole thing. I just cannot. So, live chat, and if you're watching the replay, I just really want to hear your thoughts on bringing your vacay bae over and they don't have a plan. Are you willing to supplement the lack thereof? Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the replay, because I think I blame both of them for not discussing what does this relationship look like. What does it look like? Especially when you have such a highly successful woman. What does this look like? You can't have all these expectations and say you want him to be productive as a man in life, and you say you don't know he can do it, and then you also go on to say that you've never seen him be successful in his life, but then you want to marry him. What?
Yeah, none of it makes any sense. If every time that you've gone down there, you're the one paying for the hotel, paying for all the activities, and paying for all the food, what exactly did you expect to change when he arrived here?
Yeah. So that offends him. He says back in the Dominican Republic, the first and most important thing is respect in a relationship. That's his priority in his culture. And, I understand what he's saying, but also respect is earned. And just like Abby said, what have you done for her to earn your respect? You don't have a plan. You didn't even bring your ID. The little money that you say you brought, which you did end up bringing, but you're basically like you're broke. Like, you had ample enough time because you knew you were moving. So what was your plan as you were moving? Were you saving money? Were you researching where you were going to move to? Were you making a plan? Were you seeing where you could volunteer? Like, okay, for example, no, I'm not going to give that example. For a different example, if I'm going somewhere, if I'm going to travel somewhere, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking up where I'm traveling. I'm looking up great food places, the things that interest me, public transit. I'm looking up, if it's a different country, I'm looking up exchange rates. Does it make more sense for me to exchange here, exchange there, or just credit card it all? Like, I'm doing all the things, and that's not even me moving. That's just me going on a little holiday vacation visit. How do
Yeah,
you move to a whole other country? And I don't care if you've never traveled before. How do you do no research? And you can't say you don't have any money, because every city has some type of library, some type of public something that you can go to and use their internet and figure it out, or read a book. I'm
yeah,
disappointed in both of them, because I just think there's a lack of preparation, and then there's so many expectations.
right. Well, just so people know, because maybe we have some international viewers who would not know, we do have a free public library system across the entire United States. And they oftentimes have free programs too. So you can go and do language classes, cooking classes, and different things at the library. And then if you're in an area like DC, I think most major cities are going to have the same thing. You can find many, many really cool museums that they don't just show like dinosaur bones. They also have programs, they have movie festivals, they have garden parties. And so these are things that you can look into. So you can say to yourself, like when I first arrived in San Luis Potosí, I printed out a list of every single museum in the city, and I made a goal to visit every museum. And it's not just visiting to mark it off, it's actually like exploring and learning about the culture and the religion and the language by visiting these different museums.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you, me, and Becca are all in the same.
Yes.
Becca says, listen, I know I'm a Virgo. Happy early birthday, everyone is saying, Becca. But I would have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And that would include classes, volunteering, and finding local pockets of the community for my partner to connect with. Hello. Are
Right.
Becca, Abby, and I the only ones with common friggin' sense? Marissa? Like, make it make sense for us, because right now it does not make sense,
Oh, you
except
can't see my frittata.
to the three of us for frittata. So, one of the things that also stood out to me in this episode was just really talking about women who are successful and then therefore considered, quote, hyper independent versus being in a team or a partnership. She starts crying, says she realizes she's been horrible to him because she's really just having a control issue. What were your thoughts on that, Abby? Because I just had a lot of thoughts on that.
So this is the moment where I felt like the reason she's being nasty to him is not just because she has a control issue. It is because of various stereotypes that she knows that she holds and her family holds. And I felt like she's not able to, she knows she's treating him bad because that's probably how she treats people of color in everyday life. But she's having a hard time reconciling that he's one of those people. He was somebody special and apart and separate the whole time that he was away. And now he's in the US and he's one of those people who she's disregarded and probably not been kind to all of this time. He's not her special person anymore. He's you know, I'm putting a lot on her. I'm putting a lot of assumptions on her. But that's just the way that it came off to me.
I understand what you're saying. To me, I felt like we were giving into the stereotype that a woman can't be successful and have her cake and eat it too. So her being a strong, independent woman makes her hyper independent and therefore can't be part of a team. I think that oftentimes women who are just even independent are independent because they have to be independent and they can't rely on anyone. So they rely on themselves to get things done. But that doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have all the other cake stuff, the relationships, the love of their lives, the great sex, all the things. And, you know, if so this episode really challenged me because if it was a man, this wouldn't even be a conversation. And then later on, when we talk about Rajit, and we talk about like prenups, I had to challenge my own thoughts about that. And so we'll get into that later. But I just think that, you know, the stereotypes that are out there, we often don't really dig deep and think about, like, what are the repercussions of what we're saying just because she's successful?
Well, it's not, she could be successful and still not be so critical of him, right? If she came at this relationship from the perspective of, I know that all the time that we've been together, that I've been the one who's financially responsible, I plan our activities, I pay for all our food, I know that's how it's been, that's how it's going to continue, that would be one thing. But instead, she has this perspective that you're just like one of the kids. I still have to do everything, but that's what it always was. So it's like, it's that change in what she's expecting from him that's causing the problem. Because if she had continued on with her same expectations, we may have talked about her like not understanding why she was doing it, but it wouldn't be a tension between them. It would, their status quo would have continued.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So, you know, she did that to herself. If I met someone right now and I knew that they're offering nothing to my life, I simply wouldn't even tell you that I was seeing that person. I just wouldn't talk about it.
I mean, again, you know, leave vacay and vacay. That's my thought. They have 90 days. So she feels like, you know, the show 90 Days Fiancé, she feels like 90 days is not enough time to figure out whether she's making the right decision to get married. And, you know, again, Abby, I really need you to explain to the world what this process is. I cannot understand how we're 1,000 years deep and yet we're still thinking that the 90 days is the 90 days for you to figure it out to get married. That is not what the 90 days is for. That is not. It's not what it was created for. I need you to hear it from an immigration attorney over here, because clearly y'all aren't listening to me. So maybe from a legal standpoint over there, you'll take it more seriously. Okay, Abby, go.
The 90 days was never created as a trial period to see if the marriage could work out. The 90 days was specifically created as the amount of time that you need to plan a wedding. So the decision was already made that you want to be married and that you want to live together and you're in love and all of that. And the 90 days specifically, if you look in the legislative history, was because they thought that that was how much time people would need in order to plan a wedding.
To plan
So,
the wedding, not to get to know each other, not to see if this is what we really want to do. Y'all already spent enough time together saying, yes, I love you, I love you, let's get married, engagement, engagement. Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Yes. Only because we're in different countries, I'm bringing you over. We have 90 days to make the wedding happen. Why? What's confusing about that?
yeah, so people who try to use the 90 days as a test run, I think they're already putting themselves at a disadvantage because imagine all the money that you put into getting the visa for the person to come as a fiance, and then the trial, like the pressure that puts on the quote unquote trial period. That's not what it is, but that's what they think it is. The pressure that puts on the trial period is ridiculous. That's just not a good way to live. That's not a good way to make decisions, in my opinion.
Agreed. Agreed. So they wake up in the morning. We find out that they had makeup sex, sexual reconciliation. That's my Spanish.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said.
I know, but
Sexo.
uh, yeah, I need to work on a little bit of like the accent part. So they're both happy. They're both feeling good. They're off to her store, Kleinfeld.
Kleinfeld.
Mm-hmm. And meeting her staff, it's full of brides, all the things. They're all very so kind to him, very welcoming to him, lots of hugs and welcome to America. They made him really feel special. And then she has to go to work. She tells him to pay attention in the streets of New York City. Call me if you get lost. And this is where he's like, I'll be fine because I know there are thousands of Dominicans in New York City. He starts walking around New York City, and he was definitely walking around as like a tourist. Like, I don't live in New York City, and without getting into all my own stuff, but I spent a lot of time in New York City, a lot, like to the point where I was like, oh, I basically live here. I'm bi-coastal. And you can tell when someone's a tourist. You just walk like a tourist, you act like a tourist. And when he's like, oh, there's so many people, you don't even notice that on your day to day. You are getting from A to Z. And when the people are looking up, like, oh, look, what's that? That's a sign. That's when you're like, you're in my way, step aside. Becca says, oh my God, they were so welcoming. I was so touched. That's way better than a key that doesn't actually work. Totally true, Becca. They were really welcoming, and it did touch my heart as well. Do you want add anything else?
No, I agree. That was such a nice welcome. But they're used to having like TVs and different people in the shop, so I'm not surprised.
Yep. Mallory and Rajit, thoughts?
I'm glad this man got a bidet.
He got a $25 bidet that she found online. I think it's like an attachment to their existing toilet, but good on them. Mm-hmm. That's communication and compromise, and everyone is happy. She doesn't have to pay too much when he gets what he wants. She decides that she's going to go over the bills with him so that he can just basically understand what it takes to live the American lifestyle, and specifically in the South where they are. And she wants to dispel the myth that she's rich. And she says, if I was rich, I wouldn't be working 2 jobs. And she's starting to have a little bit of concern. And this is something that Abby and I talk about a lot, about the immigration process, right? So when you're doing the K-1 visa, you want to also make sure that you understand the implications of what that looks like long term. So not only are you paying for the K1 visa and all the fees that are associated with that, you're paying for the flight, you're paying for the relocation. You also are paying for the time that your partner cannot work while they are living in America. And that goes past the 90 days. So 90 days, the wedding fees, the licensing fees, all of that stuff in the 90 days goes past that. So now you're past the 90 days, you're married. Your partner still doesn't have the green card, so you're still having to pay. So what does that look like, and what are Mallory's concerns? Her concerns are she doesn't know how long it's going to take to actually get the green card, and after he gets the green card, how long it's going to take him to find a job. So what does that time frame look like? But that is what you are jumping into. And I think a lot of people don't really understand how much money that is. And especially on the immigration side, where the immigrant, and I'm not saying Brigitte specifically, I'm just saying in general, oftentimes people just think that America, Canada, anywhere in the West, people are just rich. They see TV, they see, social media and the celebrities and Hollywood and whatever, and they think, oh, everyone is living an amazing lifestyle. Everyone must be super rich. And I'll tell you, America specifically, more people are living paycheck to paycheck than not. More people are lower middle class than not. And so I just want to dispel the myth for everyone. Do you want to add anything before I go on?
Yeah, I want to give you some numbers really quick for everyone to think about if you're going through this process. So the person is already here. Their K visa was already approved. You pay all the relocation expenses. You paid for the wedding, and now it's time for them to apply for their green card. So you're looking at $1,440, just the application fee alone for the green card. If you want to apply for a work permit or a travel permit while you're waiting for the green card, that's going to run you another $1,200. So those are just the filing fees that are going directly to USCIS. If you decide you're not going to do this on your own, you want to hire an attorney, you're looking at another between $5,000 and $10,000. So those are all fees that are going to be incurred after paying for the wedding before your partner has a green card. And there are a lot of people who get stuck right here in this process. They end up getting married during the 90 days, and then they end up not having the money to apply for the green card. So the amount of time the person goes on and on not being able to work is extended even further. So just some raw numbers for you. And you do not get to make this person stay with you. Okay, if they decide they no longer want to be in that relationship or in that marriage a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, you don't get to say, but I paid all this money for you. You have to stay with me because we don't have slavery anymore. So
I
you're
brought
making
you
this,
to America. Oh God, I hate hearing that. I hate hearing it.
you don't get to do that. That person is free to leave that relationship at any time. And you do not get to force them to stay just because you spent this money. You need to recognize that before you pay it.
So put what I said and what Abby said together and think about all of that and the choices that you're making. That being said, Mallory breaks down the bills for the month, and I just wrote down some of the numbers. So groceries, it looks like they're doing grocery shopping every week. $296, $173, $127.30, $37.44, and $114. So that's $5. So they must have gone back at least twice in one of those weeks. Her mortgage is $14.88. Damn, that's good, by the way. I don't know if that's a Southern thing, but
yeah, I mean, houses are cheaper in the South, it's specifically in the rural parts of the South, not like Atlanta.
her car insurance is $144 a month. I found that kind of high considering her car payment is $500. I don't know if that accident and the payout has something to do with it, but so be it. Internet is $100. And then we find out that Rajit is into carpentry. So in her shed in the back, they have built a workshop. So they've been going to Lowe's a lot. And $32, $210, $162, $26. And then on top of that, she has to pay her power bill, which is $106. You round up those numbers. I mean, I'm looking at least 3,000 here, and I haven't added it up. But I mean, if she's paying 1,500 in her mortgage alone, and 500 in her car payment, that's 2,000. The rest is miscellaneous, which will easily equal another 1,000. So she's trying to explain to him $3,000 is a lot of money, especially in the South, and especially that she has to have two jobs in order to pay just one. That's 1 month rent, 1 month of bills for her, and he didn't respect it. He was like, "Well, that's every month, so just look at it as every month. Don't look at it as if it's just about me." And she tries to explain to him that since you've been here, my food bill has doubled. Her power is probably doubled. She hasn't even put her gas, gas for her car in. That's probably doubled.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lowe's that she probably never went to before is an extra. So there were a lot of things pertaining to him specifically that he didn't want to acknowledge. And instead, he said, "Oh, I also want to add that we need to send at least $150 to my family every month." And then he goes on to say that, and I just think that it's disgusting that, yeah, you have all these bills, but you also have the money, your rich money from the insurance that you got from the car wreck that you were in, that you almost died in. You have that money. Like, Abby, who spends someone else's money?
He missed the entire point of her breaking down the bills.
Who spends someone else's money? I just don't get it. That's
Yeah,
not even. And I keep thinking, like, what is Brigitte? What are you bringing to the table besides love? So he gets upset, and she goes on to say that she's thinking about a prenup. He doesn't know what it is, so she explains it to him, and she wants it to protect herself and say, you know, what's mine is mine. What I brought into the marriage before we got married, and even if it's 20 years down the road, I brought this house into the marriage. What are you bringing in? He gets upset because he said, so what's yours is not ours? And she's like, I'm just trying to protect myself. If it all goes awry, I want to walk away with what I brought into the marriage. Live chat. So this is what challenged me, right? Because now we're getting a woman who has, you know, been independent, bought her own place, has her own money, has her own car, all the things. She finds the love of her life, and she wants a prenup. Now, oftentimes, you know, I'll just speak from my own perspective. You know, you see in the male-dominated world where they have more opportunities, especially as white men in society, and then they want a prenup to protect their assets. And I'm always like, la 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 la, you should have la la la. But now that the tables are turned, I'm like, well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Can I add to where you're challenging yourself, though?
Yes, please, because I really am challenging myself, because I'm like, I feel that in a male-dominated society where men have the upper hand and more opportunities and also get paid per dollar way more than women, and especially more than minority women, I think that when that male wants a prenup, I just think it's selfish. He wants to have the prize. He wants to have the trophy, beautiful wife. And if it doesn't work out, because maybe his intentions are, I'm going to replace you in 20 years with a younger, better version of yourself, I just don't think that's fair, because that trophy wife is supporting him in ways that he doesn't even realize, and spends her whole life supporting this fool. And then he wants to walk away with the cake and eat it too. That's not fair. That's what I think.
Okay. I agree with you, but from a different perspective. First, just a little bit of history or facts. A prenup is called a prenup the full name is prenuptial agreement. Nuptials, because that's what it's, when you're getting married, it's your nuptials. Okay.
Yeah. Before you get
Every,
married.
yeah, every state has default laws on how to split property in the event of a divorce. If you want to avoid your state's default laws, then you need a prenuptial or postnuptial agreement. Otherwise, when the marriage dissolves in a divorce, then you have to use that state law. So a prenup isn't exactly I protect myself, you protect yourself. It is saying we're making an agreement with each other now that avoids state laws, because there can be a prenuptial agreement that doesn't restrict what people get. Like one of the most famous prenuptial agreements is Jay-Z's and Beyonce's. Her prenuptial agreement, or their prenuptial agreement, actually grants her X amount of millions of dollars per year that they stay together. So at the end of the relationship, it's not an issue of what property belongs to me, what property belongs to you. She gets a payout in the event that this relationship ends. So what they've decided is they just don't want to go by state law. They want to structure it in their own way if the marriage dissolves. So maybe if you explain it like that to somebody, it comes off a little bit better than I'm protecting myself and you're protecting yourself. You're saying, no, in this state, I don't like the way that they do dissolution, so we're going to make our own agreement on how we dissolve things. So that's that. Secondly, the reason I think I still don't mind Mallory asking for a divorce, asking for a prenup, but I mind when men do it on this show specifically, is because men have led these women oftentimes with money. You led with money, you enticed with money, you brought them to the United States on the promise that you're going to take care of them. And so then turning around and asking for a prenup, I think is rude as to how you led them on. Now, if Mallory had gone over there slinging money around and saying that she wants to have a particular spouse, that looks a certain way and that's a certain height and all of these different requirements because I got the money and I can do that, which is what a lot of men do, I would feel differently. But she didn't. She met somebody that she liked, they got along, and they decided to be together. Rasheed didn't come here on any promise that she was going to take care of him the way that men bring women to the United States and to the UK, to other parts of to Canada, to other parts of the world. So I still feel like it's fine for her to say, I want a prenup, whereas I had a problem when some of the men on the show would say the same thing.
Yes, I agree with you as well. And I want to throw in really quickly what Becca's saying. I really wish the people who were proposing a prenup would actually explain that it can also offer protections for the partner, and goes on to say that Razik could add things that protect his future too. Um, but I'm assuming no prenup usurps U.S. law that the American is financially responsible, right, Abby?
So the Americans financially responsible is a myth that has come out of the I-864 affidavit of support. But if you actually you pull up the I-864 affidavit of support that the American petitioner signs, it simply says that if this person goes on to request any social, like welfare type benefits from the government, then the government can come back to the petitioner, to the American, and request reimbursement of those expenses. So that agreement is between the petitioner and the US government. It is not an agreement that the American is financially responsible for anything that that immigrant person wants. It's severely misinterpreted.
I wish you could say that over and over again, because that is one of the biggest myths in America. So yeah, that's where Razit and Mallory are. He is quote unquote heartbroken, and he has decided that he does not want to sign the prenup, and that is his final answer. Do you want anything else?
So then she has to decide, well, if you're not going to sign it, does that mean that we are not going to get married right now? Or does that mean that I'm going to give up on it? So it's back in her, ballpark to make that decision.
Agreed. And I think she should stand firm, continue to discuss, but stand firm in what your gut instinct is telling you. That's what I think.
This is
especially.
also a good time to talk about what happens if you don't get married in the 90 days, but you still continue the relationship. So let's say because he won't sign the prenup, let's say that they don't get married, but they decide some kind of resolution at 140 days. They make a resolution and they get married then. So he can actually still stay in the US, but she has to file a different kind of petition for him. They've lost the benefit of the K visa, allowing them to go straight to applying for a green card. And instead, she has to file a new spousal petition for him in the US. It's called an I-130. And it's just going to take longer for them to get to the green card process.
But can he stay the entire time while they're waiting for that?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's good. Maybe do that. Less pressure. Don't tell the rest of the 90-day fiance cast because woo, we'll be here for 90-day part 1, 140-day part 2.
It just lengthened in the amount of time that he can't work, though. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on to Thomas and Paula. Overall thoughts?
I do think that she did something really good in terms of moving their communication forward, but I'm just really annoyed by him. And I'm finding it very interesting that people are not understanding her perspective in this. So I'm curious what you guys think. You in the live chat and Linda, there's a lot of people who think that she is being demanding and rude. And I find it interesting that people are not understanding her perspective. So if you're one of those people, explain to me.
Explain to me too, because I don't get it either. I don't think that she is asking for much. I think that she is reiterating what they had already agreed upon on all the previous other times that she has come and visited him. So her talking about furniture is not about it is about the furniture, you guys, but it's also about keeping your word. You said that this is what you were going to do. We both agreed that if I moved here, these are the bare minimums that I'm going to need in order to feel comfortable leaving my completely successful lifestyle to start anew. So I don't understand what you all are saying that she's being demanding, because she's not asking for anything that they already didn't agree to previously. I don't get it. So again, she says it's not about the shopping, it's about her needs. And the needs that she told you that she needed prior to her moving. Okay? He feels like she's being hot-headed and abusive. Now, both of those words were triggering for me, because how is she being abusive to you when she is just communicating and reiterating the needs that she told you about previously? To me, you seem, Thomas, like you are manipulating the situation because you didn't do what you said you were going to do previously. And now she's here and you don't want her to leave. So you're trying to manipulate it and make it seem like she's the problem. She says she's hurt. She wants to talk about her feelings and the perfect life on her terms and not his terms. Now, was there a language barrier there? Because it sounds like, oh, she just wants it her way or no way. No, she's saying, I told you what my needs are. You agreed to them, but now you're trying to change the terms. And I don't want to be on these new terms that you are putting down because we had already agreed on our terms. That's what she's saying.
Yes.
So she apologizes to him for her harsh words. But think about it, you guys. Think about anyone that's disappointed you. They say, hey, I'm going to do this, and then they don't show up and they don't do it. That's disappointing to anyone. That's human nature. So, yeah, she's going to have some harsh words for him because she's coming from a place of disappointment because you didn't do what you said you were going to do. But she apologizes anyway, says that she wants some middle ground. But she also doesn't want to spend time and energy fighting about something that they already agreed on. She would rather go back to Brazil. And she's like, I don't want to make it so like I'm saying, oh, like a threat every time I want to go back to Brazil. I'm going to go back to Brazil because, in the 90 days realm of things, that's the thing. I'll just go back or I'll send you back. That's a threat. What she's saying is that she doesn't want to spend time arguing about something that they already agreed upon. She would rather take that energy and go back to her life. And I agree with her, you guys. I'm sorry, I just do. He is on the defensive, and she says to him, can we agree that we just have different needs, and I need you to understand what my needs are, and can we at least have you acknowledge that? And I thought that that was so important for her to take him out of his defensive and say, listen, we may be disagreeing in this moment, but I need you to acknowledge that I've said these are my needs, and it's okay for me to have these needs. I thought that was very powerful. Abby?
Yes. That's the same thing I thought that I was referring to earlier. I was like, how smart of a communication technique is that to say, pull back from the argument that we're having right now. Can you just baseline acknowledge that we're different?
That's it. That's it. Hey, Megan Marco 7460. Everyone, I haven't seen you here before. Welcome. Everyone, give a nice little hello to Megan. Yeah. Let's give her a little hello. That being said, they kind of talk through it, and then they are riding their bike to Long Beach because they're living in Long Beach, and they're going to the Queen Mary. And if you guys don't know anything about the Queen Mary, it's a big warship. They do a ton of events there. Been there often. They do like a big Halloween situation there. They have a hotel there. They have a restaurant there. It's like a whole thing. A docked ship, real warship. And they're thinking of having their wedding there. So they meet with the Captain James and get a whole tour of the boat. One of the things that Paula really bonds with is, like I said, they do a whole Halloween thing because that ship is supposed to allegedly be haunted and there are ghosts on that boat. So Halloween is a big deal there. Paula likes ghosts, and so this is right up her alley. And so they take a tour. They go to the Queen Salon, which is the first class entertainment lounge of the boat, and it really made me think of the Titanic. But that's the vibe. So if you didn't see the episode, you can get the vibe. It's just very like classic old school ship stuff. They both love it. They both love it. They both want to have their wedding there. It can accommodate 30 people, which is, I guess, the number they're thinking of for their wedding. He wants to make her happy in the situation. And she asks, well, will your family be coming? And what we find out about Thomas is Thomas's family is messy. And the last time that Paula came and met both sides of his family, because his parents are divorced, it was a bad situation. Paula bonded with Thomas's biological mom. They spent time with her. They posted videos and bonded, had a great time. After that, they went to North Carolina to see his biological dad and his stepmom. The stepmom, Renee, had a hard time with Paula bonding with Thomas's biological mom. Basically, she was jealous. Basically, there's some messiness in there. She has some insecurities about it all. And instead of saying, hey, let me create my own memories with this woman, she decided that she was going to hold it against this woman that she had never met before because she has a messy situation with the first wife. So the second wife was being messy with the first wife and made Paula get stuck in the middle, which I just think is super immature and disgusting. And it left a bad taste in my mouth for Renee. And then Renee, she didn't disappoint because she had nothing good to say about Paula the whole time. Like, she just came across as a hater. Am I the only one that felt that way, you guys? Let me know in the live chat and the replay. Is Renee a hater? Because she's like not a girl's girl, in my opinion.
The way she was looking at the father every time that he spoke, every time he would speak, the way she was looking at him, like if he says the wrong thing, she was gonna.
Yeah, and also, go on.
Yeah, that didn't look healthy.
No, and it screamed insecurity. It screamed insecurity. Anytime the dad said something positive, she countered it with something negative. And I don't know if it's just about the wife or it's just insecurity. There are women out there that, if they're insecure in their own self, they take it on any woman that they think pose a threat to them. Even if that
Mhm.
woman is not even thinking twice about anything, that she's marrying your husband's son. She doesn't care about your husband. But some women think like that. Every woman that steps to them is a threat because they're that insecure. And Rini comes across as that person. So um, they go from Long Beach to North Carolina. And one of the questions I wanted to talk to you about, Abby, is can we talk a little bit about someone who's on a K1 visa that travels? Because I know that they can't go back home while they're on the K1 visa and going through the 90-day process. So, how
Mhm.
is it that they can travel throughout the United States?
You can travel on a real ID or passport, and in years past, it's never been an issue for domestic travel. Right now, if I had a client that told me that they wanted to fly domestically, I would tell them absolutely not. You need to avoid having any interaction with law enforcement whatsoever because a lot of the CBP officers and TSA, they don't understand like pending asylum, K visa, F1. They don't understand these kind of things. They put everybody in the category of being undocumented. And so I would say avoid US travel right now. Previously, I just said don't go to Hawaii or Puerto Rico because you don't know if there's going to be like some kind of emergency and they have to land somewhere else, whatever. But now I say, I'm so sorry, you are restricted to bus travel,
I agree with her 100%. Y'all
train travel.
be safe out there, y'all. They're not messing around at all. If yeah, they're not messing around. If they're arresting on the steps of Washington, um, civil servants and Air Force members, just be careful out there. Megan says, because Thomas' mother gave that man something she can never give him, a son. You're probably not wrong, Megan. That's a good observation.
It's
Uh,
usually the first wife that's so mad at the second wife. So this is really weird for me. I want to know more because I'm also messing.
oh, y'all, I hate a messy bitch, but I like to watch it. Okay, so they go from Cali to North Carolina. Um, she brings all her littles with her, and if you know anything about the show, it's all the miniature stuff she carries. It's driving me crazy. I'm just not a knick-knack type of person. Um, it's driving me crazy, y'all. But whatever floats your boat, if that makes you happy, good on you. We all have our thing. And like Abby said last time, what is it if you have like a tangible, seeable
Vice.
vice, then that's better than not knowing what the vice is. But Lord Jesus. Um, they get there. Rini is the stepmom and Tom is the dad. Tom says that he really likes Paula. She seems family oriented when he first met her and really is close with her family, and he really enjoys that. Rini goes on to say, well, she doesn't feel close to Paula at all. Shows them the camper, and Rini talks about how her outfit is not a farm outfit. And Paula's like, oh, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to change. She changes, and still her outfit, a skirt and a tank top, is not a farm outfit. She is not a farm girl at all. Just hating all over it was so much hate, you guys. I was like, girl, you are too old to be hating like this. Like, do you not have a cow to feed? Do you not have some, I don't know, some milk to milk something? Like, what's going on with you? You have too much time for all this hate. Um, she goes on to say that Paula's outfit is not farm outfit, and I just like, how many times can you say the same thing over and over again? You're just a hater 2x4. Side note, this whole I'm sorry if this sounds ignorant of me, but between the trailers and the campers, you guys, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. And when Thomas said that at the end of the day they're gonna have to clean the tank out of the camper, I was just so I'm just not a camping person, I guess. So I just was like, no, thank you.
So this is what I actually love about this season of 90 Day Fiancé is that I think people don't realize how much of the US lives in unstable housing, how much of the US lives in trailers and RV parks. And so I'm really glad they're showing this. This is not just like a recreational thing for some people. This is their primary residence for a lot of people. So I'm glad that we're seeing this. And believe it or not, this is a really nice RV.
Yeah. 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 I'm glad we're seeing it too. I'm glad we're seeing it too. I'll leave it at that. I just,
Now you're being more American than I am right now. You're like, oh, the pores.
I'm sorry.
Honey,
I'm gonna keep
what is
cycling.
this? Not a white refrigerator.
I'm sorry. I'm I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm really not like that. I'm just not a camper person. I don't like. I just not. This is not for me. It's just not for me. And I just think like it's just not for me. That's it. It's just not for me. I'm a city girl. That's it. Okay. Sorry, you guys. Okay, we're moving. Anything else you want to add before we
No.
move on? And they roast me online. Moving on to Katie and Josh. My disclaimer is I just cannot with this. I cannot with this whole relationship. I think both of them are terrible. I think both of them have issues. I think Josh is very insecure and is forcing some weird reason to get married that we don't know about, but there's something behind it. And Katie needs to go to detox and therapy. Those are my thoughts before I say anything else. What are your thoughts, Abby?
I think medication would help.
Megan, you know what? Welcome to our group. You are fitting right in. I am loving this. Megan said, camping is only good for prepping for the zombie apocalypse. Absolutely agree with you 100%. Hey, Becca. Hey, Blue Panda. Oh, all the regulars are here. Hey, girls. Hey. Okay. That being said, Katie was drunk as per usual. She is sick and hungover in the morning, so she's in the bathroom doing her thing. Josh is explaining how last night was embarrassing for him. And however, it was not embarrassing enough for you to stand up for yourself. So, like Abby said, you come with a problem and no solutions. I feel nothing for you. He talks about ultimatums and hoping that he doesn't have to get to the point where they are giving ultimatums. Josh, you guys are already there. And it shouldn't even be ultimatums. It should be communications. You should have a backbone and stick up for what you believe you deserve. And if you feel like your woman kissing and hugging and sleeping with everyone else amongst her friend group is okay and you allow it, then what you can't turn around and say is that you want to give some ultimatums because you clearly don't respect yourself. A true sign of an alcoholic is someone that gives excuses for their alcoholism, in my personal opinion. And so the first thing that Katie says is that she drank because it was her birthday. Well, I need you to explain every other day that you're drinking to excess. Not like, hey, I'm having a glass of wine in here or there. You drink to excess and you drink to excess regularly, more often than not. So you can't just say it was your birthday and that's why you were drunk. She also said, again, the sign of an alcoholic, in my opinion, is that she drank because it was a high stress environment. So you're saying that you don't have the tools in your everyday life to deal with stress, even though life is stressful in and of itself, that you therefore need to drink. And that high stress environment included your fiance, Josh, and the guy that you want to sleep with and have slept with, Ryan. That's high stress. It's only high stress if you're a liar or if you're being untruthful to what the real situation is. If Ryan is just your friend and there's nothing beyond that, then why is it stressful if you are indeed committed to your fiance, Josh?
It's also a situation she created because she invited Ryan. So, like, how can you be stressed out by the environment you created?
That, and also you created the environment, and if that, again, I'm going to double down on that, if Ryan is just your friend that you invited to your birthday, what's stressful about that? Unless there's some shady stuff going on that you don't want your fiance to know about. That's what would be stressful, because you don't want the truth to come out.
Yeah. I
So
think
she,
we also have to say, just really quickly, just to acknowledge, like, her behavior is not just like wanting to be physical with her friends. She's literally going past their no. They're saying no to her, and she's going into being like into assault and battery.
oh yeah, it's, yeah. And again, that also, again, when I said this episode challenged my thoughts and stereotypes about men and women, that's another thing, right? Because if this was a man, we would absolutely be having the conversations about inappropriate touch and behavior.
Hmm.
So she got so drunk that she doesn't remember what happened the night before, and so she wants Josh to tell her everything in detail of what she did. He tells her she does what she's always done, try to make out with everyone, and she apologizes and says sorry, and he then tells her that sorry's not enough. um and here's where I was like, this is where the manipulation's going on, and I just feel like this relationship is doomed, because i don't I just don't know if either of them have any common sense or communication skills. Like, she said that she, quote, can love you, but also want to kiss everyone else. So, did you guys discuss maybe having an open relationship? Because that's the only situation where this comment would make sense to me.
Right. But she's not asking, can we consider an open relationship? She's insisting that she can change, which we see no evidence of.
That part. Megan says they're both dumb as a doorknob. And Becca says, regardless of gender, it would be great if TLC stopped promoting partner violence. Uh, there's just so much to unpack with this couple. There's so much to unpack with this couple. And unfortunately, they just don't have the tools, at least what's being presented to us, to actually unpack all the things that need to be unpacked. So she wants to kiss on everyone, and then goes on to say to her fiance, do you think everyone is uncomfortable because I try to kiss everyone? Do you think they will stop hanging out with me? Do you think I will lose friends because I have lost friends in the past over her drinking? Now, if this was not an opportunity to discuss the drinking problem, I don't know what is. But do you think Josh even touched that? Do you think even no one touched it? That was your opening. Abby, that was the opening. That was the opening. You know what? Do we want to talk about how much you drank? Do we want to talk about the reason you feel alcohol is a crutch in your life? That was the opening. She literally says that she has lost friends over her drinking. And she's worried that she's going to lose more friends over her drinking.
Yeah, that was her answering her own question, but he blew right past the opportunity for discussion on it because he was like, no, back to me. Talk about me.
Yeah. So she also goes on to say that she's also worried because of her shenanigans that she's going to lose Josh, her fiance. And nothing is said about any of it. We just move on. He sits on the floor, and this is my note. He sits on the floor to meet her at her level. And I don't mean it in a way where he is being like consoling. I'm meaning she is for the streets and in the streets, and he is meeting her at that level because you guys are not addressing any of your issues. So you want to meet her in the gutter. You're going to go to the gutter to just talk to her. That's what you're doing. So when I say he met her on her level on the floor, he gets from the chair to the floor to meet her at her level, because clearly we're not talking about any of the major issues in this relationship, but yet we're forging ahead and saying that we have a wedding to plan. Are you all crazy? He says that he wants to feel cared for and loved. He wants serious thought about what she wants. He wants a commitment from her, and he wants to feel love in return. Now, I just need you all to understand how outrageous that sounds to me, because you say these are all your needs, but you don't talk about your issues. You want to move forward on the surface level and get married. I need to understand what it is about getting married specifically right now that's important to you. What is the underlying issue here? Josh, are you running from the law? Are you like, what's going on over in England that you are just so forcing this marriage, even though from the very get-go, your fiance said she wasn't ready to get married, and you forced the issue and filed the paperwork anyways. And now you see her disrespecting you on every level, every day, every time. She has a drinking problem. You haven't addressed the OCD. You haven't addressed the fact that she does not want to get married. She is not ready, but you're forcing it. I just don't understand. Abby, I don't understand it.
I mean, the very, very simple, answer is, I guess he just wants to be in the US, but he could find other ways to be in the US. So I too am a bit baffled by exactly what's going on. When I look at his Instagram, he does talk a lot about US politics. So I'm like, did he just want to use this as an opportunity to develop, like his social media personality? Or I don't know. It's very confusing because he seems like a nice guy. He seems like he has a nice personality. He's not bad looking. So what are we doing, Josh?
Yeah, what are we doing? And I just think there's a lot of missed opportunities, because the issues that they are dealing with are not new issues, and I'm sure many people are dealing with the same issues, and the fact that they keep ignoring them and sweeping them under the rug is a missed opportunity. That's what I think. So even if this is a social media grab, you could use your platform for good. Do you want to add anything else?
No, I am done with them, and we can move on to these unfortunate souls.
Maxwell and Aisha, whatever the hell her name is. I'm sorry, Aisha. You need to message me and tell me how to say your name, because people call you whatever.
Tell everybody how to say your name, because you just accepted anything.
You accept anything. So, overall thoughts on Maxwell and Aisha?
I mean, I have the same thoughts that I had. I have the same thoughts I had last week, you guys. She's quite an interesting character to me. But I do think she is telling the truth about who she is. I don't think she's hiding anything, and neither do I think Maxwell is, which is very refreshing for the show. I think they're two people being honest about their objectives.
I will agree with you with that. Yeah, okay. I'll agree with you with that. I'll leave it at that. Maxwell didn't like that Aisha was like flinging his hand to the side in the market earlier in public. He thought it was disrespectful and wants her to apologize. She won't. He's like, well, if I did that to you tomorrow in public, how would you feel? And she's basically like, do it. And when I say that was just, I just saw the American in her so much in that moment. I just really did. I just thought, the stereotypical American attitude was just it's just not becoming, in my opinion. She goes on to say that she's confused and surprised about Maxwell's new attitude. And I take it as he's standing up for himself, and she doesn't like it because she he is standing up to her, and she feels like she is God adjacent. So how dare he? She thinks he's acting crazy and, quote, aggressive. And when she says that to him, he counters her crazy with, bring your voice down. And I died of laughter because tit for tat, you're saying things that aren't true. So let me go ahead and meet you where you are and also say things untrue, because she really wasn't raising her voice that much, you guys, but she was being obnoxious. So he met her at her same obnoxious level. And I thought it was very appropriate. What were your thoughts, Abby?
I felt like this entire conversation was him trying to assert dominance and what clearly he had not done in the past when she visited previously. So she was not prepared for his attempt to assert dominance, and he's trying to change their dynamic going forward. So interesting stuff going on.
Interesting take. I didn't take that at all. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. He goes on to say that he's not sure of their relationship and whether God wants them to be married or not. And, that it's going to stick it to her where it hurts, because that is all that she cares about. And so she is like, what are you talking about? You had no doubts until this trip. She feels like his family is influencing him and she doesn't like it. He says that he just wants peace and things to be done the right way. And by that, he is referring to the dinner before and how she came across to his parents. And honestly, you guys, just from an African's perspective, when your partner or even your friends come over and your parents feel disrespected, it's a heavy weight on you, because then you then have to explain away your friends or your partner, and your parents are looking at you like, we didn't raise you. Like, it's a whole mess, and it gets very messy, and the extended family gets involved. So I understand what Abby is saying about asserting dominance, but coming from an African perspective, I didn't see it as asserting dominance. He's trying to save face and trying to figure out how he's going to get his parents to accept the disrespect that they felt from this person, because you get one opportunity in an African family to make a first impression, and there can be no disrespect, because Africans will hold a grudge on disrespect for your entire life. And I'm going to give you an example that is very personal to me. I'm not going to give you all the details, but I'll just say this. Before my dad passed, I called the house, and the person that answered the phone, I didn't address her in the way that she wanted to be addressed, and that I knew I should address her, but I just didn't feel like it. I was like 19 or something at the time. I just didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like going through the hoopla. I was just like, can I talk to my dad? And fast forward like 25 years later, my dad passes away. We go to the funeral, and that specific conversation gets brought up, that I knew was going to get brought up, because I just know Africans. And so you're talking about something 25 years ago that I knew I shouldn't have done, but I did anyways. I've grown up because it's been 25 years later. And then pow, I have to then save face. I have to apologize. I have to grovel. I have to say, yes, that was disrespectful to my elder. I'm sorry. La, 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 la. So I say all that to say that I don't think necessarily it was about domination. It was about him saving face, because once the disrespect is there, it's something that he's going to have to, even if he wasn't the one that did the disrespect, it's something that he's going to live down forever until they decide that they have gotten over it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm like, I see where he's coming from. He's like, oh, listen, I'm going to need you to not do this. I'm going to need you to do that. And I'm having doubts because if I marry you, this is for life. So even if I get married and you do something disrespectful while we're married, that's gonna be for life. So are you sure God said we should get married?
And I think he has to accept, okay, so last week we were on, I said that if you're marrying somebody who's one of these cultures where they split themselves to please their parents, then you also have to split yourself to please their parents, right? And that's just a part of the dynamic. Unless they're rejecting their culture, that's just a part of the dynamic you have to accept, right? But I also think that from his perspective, from his side, he has to come into some kind of understanding so that it's not a lifetime of hurt for him. He has to come into some understanding that you have a spouse that is not going to be able to 100% conform to your parents' expectations at all times. There may be times that she makes the parents very happy and they're happy with her, and there may be times that she just cannot meet the high expectations that the parents have. And I think he has to accept that at some point, or else the lifetime of them living together and raising children and buying a house and buying cars, like all those things the parents think they should be involved in, and she does not think they should be involved in, is going to be 10 times harder if he can't just accept the fact that she's going to disappoint his parents sometimes.
That's a good point. Um, they're having some weird little argument, and again, it's tit for tat. She tells him to hush. He says, "Don't tell me that. Just talk." She gets mad and walks away because she doesn't like that he is talking back to her, standing up for himself. However you want to look at it, she doesn't like it. That's not the Maxwell that she knows. The Maxwell she knows is agreeable, is humble, is quiet, does everything subservient to her. So this is a new Maxwell, and she doesn't like it. She says that this is not the way she wants to be treated, and basically it's her way or no way. And I talk about that a lot because her way is she thinks she's backed up by God because she is God adjacent. And, I just. So on the flip side, he says, "This is Africa, baby." And my notes in all caps says facts. So I don't care, again, who you are, where you're traveling from. But I am specifically speaking to Americans because I'm sorry to be so harsh and real, but y'all often tend to be the most problematic when you're traveling. And that's why you guys put on our Canadian flag, because you want to act like we're not that bad. So I'm just saying, as an American, maybe remember that you are a visitor in that country, and perhaps just embrace their culture while you're there. You don't have to do all the things, but embrace it, respect it, and keep it pushing until you go back and you can be all the American you want back in America.
So that feels like a lie to us. That's why you have the hard time with us doing it. Because the dichotomy of changing who you are to please your parents and then to please your partner or yourself, for us, that feels like a lie. But it's like, so I've been getting down to the root of where this cultural issue comes from. And I'm so proud of myself because I feel like this is fine. I finally got like I got a good example and explanation for it. So when Submit says things like, "I didn't tell Jenny because I want her to be like in a different mood for when I tell her," I perceive that as a lie. You lied to her. He doesn't. He perceives that as just splitting the expectations that he's what he's doing for his parents versus what he's doing for his spouse. It's not a lie to him.
Mm, that is good. That's good. Okay, so apply your theory to this situation.
So in this situation, Maxwell is saying, "I understand that you say hey to me in the morning, and you say hey to your parents in the morning, and it's not a big deal. I don't care how you address anybody else, but I need you to put on airs for my family because I put on airs for my family. And I don't understand what the big deal is about that. How is it contrary to you as a person to do this for my family, to play this role? But for Aisha, if I'm walking around changing how I act just because of the other people in the room, that is a lie. It's not who I am.
Okay. Okay. I see where you're coming from. Okay. I'm gonna put some thought into that. Um, Aisha feels that Maxwell has changed since he's been around his family, and says, what do you want to do? If you want this, you have to be all in. If not, I can easily go back to the US. Even if you have a 1% doubt, that's a turning point in our relationship, and it's not acceptable. We have to be 100% partners, all in, all the time. And I just think that that's unrealistic. I think it's unrealistic. I really do. That's just my personal opinion. I think that doubt is normal and doubt is natural. And if it's 1% doubt, but 99% you're all in, then that's saying a lot already. I just think that I just think that she just is using her like Christianity in a manipulative way, and it's driving me crazy. Okay. Then she said that Maxwell said that God told him that his wife was going to be from America and also going to be from the South. As a Christian, I talk to God all the time. And I can't say to you that God has said to me specifically that my car is going to be a Mercedes and it's going to be green. I just don't know in my experience that God speaks to you so specifically. And so when she said that that's what God told him, he told him your wife, God told you that your wife was going to be from America and from the South. That's what God told you.
I used to say that sometimes. I was just lying. I was in Sunday school one time. Like, I remember this one clear as day. This lady had gone on and on talking about something I did not want to hear. And so I was like, you know what? God put it on my heart for me to tell you, blah, blah, whatever I told her. I just wanted to move on with the class.
I just don't like and again, I think it's just, for me, it's just a little offensive as a Christian, the manipulation on such a huge platform. I think that that's what my problem is, really. You can believe what you want to believe, but like the manipulation that's playing out here in the name of God and Christianity, that's what I'm having a problem with.
But Linda, I think that this is a large scale thing. I don't think this is an Aisha thing. I think that is a large scale thing that people use religion to create the world that they want, as opposed to listening to the teachings that are, in the Bible and then trying to live by those teachings. I think that that is a major theme of at least Christianity in the forms that I've seen it in, is it's not prescribing how you live. It is you using it to get what you want. That's a big thing that people do. And like, we're on opposite sides of the spectrum on religion, but I think that we're agreed that God is not dictating these tiny things in somebody's life, these tiny micro, and your spouse will be from the South. I don't think that any conception I ever had of God had these micro things on it. My conception of God, as it was when I believed it, was a ship that's heading in a particular direction, and perhaps God has his hand on the ship pulling it in that direction. But as far as the people who are on the ship, the bar fight that's happening over here, what people are choosing to eat over here, doesn't have any specific hand in those things, just pulling the ship in a particular direction.
Becca says 100% there's little actual Christianity on display here, and that's how I feel. I feel like there's a lot of manipulation in the name of Christianity, and that's the part I'm having a problem with. Period and full stop. That being said, even though Maxwell seemed to be taking a stance, he reels it back and says, you are marrying me and my family. I choose you, baby. Everything's great, good to go. They didn't, in my opinion, solve any of the issues that they were talking about, but they're full steam ahead because God told him that that's his wife from the South. I personally think that he, like the previous season of, I think it was before the 90 days, the other Nigerian guy who said that his mom said that he was to marry a white woman, same thing. Long story short, I think he's just trying to get to America, period, full stop. But what do I know? What do I know? You're marrying me and my family. I choose you, baby. Everything gets wrapped up nice and neat for the episode. Here's the part that also pissed me off. She said, okay, well, we need to pray about this and we also need to keep God first. So, do you think that they prayed in that moment? We need to pray and keep God first. Was their prayer done in that moment? If it was done, it was cut out because no, it was not. So, again, I'm talking about the manipulation of Christianity. Stop with the empty words and all the things that you're saying just to be saying it in the name of the Lord. It's ridiculous. So, they've decided that they are going to go full steam ahead and get married. And this is where Abby's going to come in again with her legal expertise. So they have two options, which really they don't. And I hate that they're saying that they do. They got denied for the K1 visa. They got denied. Her lawyer told her, you can't reapply. You can't do all the things just because you feel that that's what God is leading you to do. But they ignore the legal advice that they were given. And she says our option first is to reapply for the fiancé visa. It's fast, she says. And we just need to add extra pictures and extra voice calls into our application and then see if they will accept that. Do you want me to do option 2 before you talk about this, Abby? Because
Yes.
okay. Option 2 is the spousal visa. That would be their best choice, according to Maxwell, because they have a stronger chance of getting approved because they're already married. He will be able to have the green card already before he steps foot in America. And they can do it while her mom is already there and his family is already there, so they can do it on this trip. So he's saying option 2.
Mm-hmm. So I would say option 2 as well, because once you have already been denied for a K visa, like you can apply again. Technically, nobody's going to stop you from applying again. It's not going to be rejected, but you have to have a lot more evidence than was previously provided that it is a true bona fide relationship. That's going to be more than just, oh, we had some voice calls together and we have more pictures together. You have to show that you've spent more time together, that you've done things to plan for a future together, that you have some sort of entanglements with each other, maybe financial entanglements or maybe a business plan for the future. You have to show a lot more, but you can, when you already go ahead and get married, like legally married, that crosses a threshold where USCIS believes that the relationship is more bona fide than doing the K visa on its own. So, and for the other reasons I talked about last week, I also prefer spousal visas because the people can arrive with more independence. They arrive with a stamp in their passport showing that they are going to be a green card holder, and then the card arrives in the mail shortly after. They can go ahead and work, they can go ahead and get a driver's license. So you arrive with more independence, and there's less pressure on the marriage for one person to be completely supporting the other.
100%. Megan says Maxwell chose someone who thinks she's always right and convinced her that him coming to America is her decision. It's a great plan.
I mean, I'm convinced. You know, in the beginning, she told us that God told her that her husband was in a land far away to start with. So I wouldn't be surprised when she hit the apps and started looking for her husband in a land far away if she just said that to people and they were able to just play on that back to her.
I mean, someone in the live chat said that they met on Tinder, so you're not far off. Last and certainly least, except for Annabelle, because I really enjoy her, is Shay and Annabelle. Overall thoughts, Shay and Annabelle?
Annabelle, go home, baby. Go home where you're loved. Go home where you're not being exposed to different diseases.
Hey, Raydella. You came in just at the right time. Oh, God. Okay. I'm just going to go through my notes and then I'll tell you my opinion on all of this nonsense. Okay, so it opens up, he's taking Nicole's things out of the shed and into the back of his truck, and he's taking them to the dump, which I don't understand why I had to go through all the things last episode if you're just going to take all that crap to the dump. Annabelle's not talking to him because, she wanted the stuff out yesterday. And so he's taking like a table and a couch to the dump, and he's going to go ahead and sell the tables and chairs. Annabelle thinks that their whole relationship was a lie and thinks that Shay still has feelings for Nicole, but Annabelle loves him and wants things to work out. Now, do I have issues with all of this? Yes, but I'm going to keep forging ahead. He says, you lied to me, you lied to me, you lied to me. He says, you're taking it all out of context. How do you take a lie out of context? Someone please, it's either a lie or it's not a lie.
Mm-hmm. He said it happened at the lake. It's not a real thing. That's what he's going to say. Go ahead.
That part. But again, don't manipulate this situation. A lie is a lie is a lie. You even taking a lie out of context, if I'm going to use your words, it's still a lie. She goes on to say that Allison, his daughter, seems to think that he's still in love with Nicole, and he doesn't deny it. And here's where I just don't understand Annabelle. He's like, well, we have 20 years of history, and we have been doing this, running things back and forth for 20 years, and I love her, but we can't be together, and she's also the mother of my child. But I love you. You're my person. All in the same breath, you guys. And I need you to understand that when men talk, you need to listen, because they're sometimes they're telling you more than they think they're telling you. So him saying, with the disclaimer, that he's been effing around with her for the last 20 years, she's not going anywhere. I don't care if he calls you your person or not. He's not going anywhere. Okay, so when he says, so this is what happens. Annabelle says, you need to break up with Nicole and you can't talk to her or see her ever again. He says, that's not going to happen. When a man speaks, listen, that's not going to happen. We have a kid together. She says, you need to cut her off completely. He says, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Can we forget about this and plan our wedding? Does anyone see anything wrong with this situation, or am I the only one?
Everything's wrong.
Everything's wrong, because you know what? He's not doing anything that you're asking him to do. He's going to placate you in the moment so that he can stop having this conversation that's irritating him. He already told you that that's not going to happen. He already told you they're 20 years deep. She's not going anywhere. She's the mother of my child. You're saying you have to cut her out of your life and never talk to her again. And he says, I'll do whatever you want. He's not doing whatever you want, Annabelle. He's saying that so that you can stop talking about it. But when he ends up in her bed, or when he ends up calling her or talking to her or texting to her, and you're surprised and hurt because you said that you think that he said that he's going to comply to your wishes, I need you to refer back to this conversation, because he literally told you that's never going to happen.
Right.
She loves him. She wants to be with him, so she's going to stay with him. And now they're going to go and celebrate his 55th birthday. He says 55 is the new 35. And I don't want to be mean here, but I don't. I mean, you guys seen the show. They have 60 days to wed. They're off to the lake for a huge party, and they're going to his lake house. And I know that I've said a lot in this episode, and I apologize, you guys, for my lack of understanding of what is a house and what is not a house and all the things. American, I'm sorry, I'm still learning. But, so he owns two houses, I should say, because he does own two homes. He owns two houses. And she, being Annabelle, is very impressed that he owns two houses, and one is a lake house that only the two of them get to live in. But I guess maybe I need to understand, as a Canadian, the different types of houses. Because we have houses, we have apartments. I don't know if I've really seen like trailer houses, but I know that they exist. And then there are those camper things that we saw today. So can you guys just maybe explain to me what you guys say are houses?
I mean, so somebody maybe, in the comments, in the chat, can do a better job. But I think I've explained, I think what's happening is that when I explain it, your brain just rejects it.
Okay, explain it again.
So mobile homes are a form of permanent housing for a particular type of person. You don't look at them. Well, some people look at them and they think temporary.
So mobile homes and trailers, are they the same thing?
They can be. So a mobile home can be a trailer. It can be like literally on a trailer, or they can put it on blocks on a plot of land that they've paid for.
Okay.
So there
So
are mobile home communities. And obviously, like this lake house is a mobile home community or RV community where you're allowed to park them. But you'll have some neighborhoods where you're not allowed to have them. So yeah, people grow up in them their entire lives. Yeah.
Okay, great. That explains a lot, and thank you.
So when you hear people like Eminem talk about like how he grew up, or who else is like a prominent trailer park trash person? Nobody's coming to mind, but it's a whole genre in music as well. But when you hear that, like, you're not visualizing that they grew up in a trailer.
I guess the disconnect for me is when I think of I think the disconnect is like me not thinking that that's permanent housing. I think that's what it is. And then for this season, for me, in addition to that, is him being the prize because he owns two mobile homes.
Like, and land. It is a big deal to own the land that your trailer / mobile home is on.
Oh, you know what? You're right. So my bad. And I'm learning, you guys. It's pure ignorance, but I'm learning. So I'm sorry.
I'm
You're
not
right.
saying it's a big deal to me. I'm just saying, like, if you're in that world,
No,
that's a
you're
big
right.
deal.
It is a big deal to own land. I don't own land, so that is a big deal. You own land and you own the property that's on the land. Okay, let me stop minimizing it. I was just having a hard time wrapping my mind around it. So thank you for explaining it. That makes more sense. They have 60 days to get married. They go to the lake to celebrate his 55th birthday. I'm going to ignore all the other notes that I have right now because I've learned some things. So I'll skip my comments. They get there, and my comment does say Allison, his daughter, is everywhere. She just popped up out of nowhere. And Shay sends Annabelle inside to, I don't know, cook some chili or something so he can talk to Allison alone. And he's mad that Allison told Annabelle the truth. And I think Allison is not very nice, but I agreed with her in this moment when she said, you don't tell her the truth. So I told her the truth. Because you can't get married on secrets. And I agree with that. If you are not going to be open and honest with your soon to be wife, then your daughter's going to tell her the truth. And I think that that's okay. Is it her place to? Probably not. But Annabelle, if your future husband is trying to keep all the things from you, that is a red flag. And if the daughter is the only one being honest to you, even though she doesn't like you and she's doing it in spite, that's a red flag too. So the party comes. They said that there's going to be 40 to 50 people there. I think I saw 20, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. Then they mentioned Jaeger bombs, and I just tuned out. Are you guys in high school? Jaeger what? Like, what? That is university behavior. So they do Jaeger bombs. The reason why I brought up the 50 people is because they also had a microphone and a microphone stand. And I was like, is someone performing? Because there's not that many people there. What?
Karaoke.
Not with that microphone that they use. Probably not. But they did the Jaeger bombs. They said USA, USA. That's what they did. I'm not joking. And they got on the mic, said happy birthday, as well as welcome to USA. And then because they were doing Jaeger bombs, Shay, I felt, got inappropriate with these really young women and said, if I was 21, this would be a different situation and I wouldn't be getting married. And he's all over her. He's twirling her around. And Annabelle gets extra mad again because she thinks it's inappropriate, which it was. But also, you guys, you can't be mad in silence and then think that, oh, this person is disrespecting me, but, oh, I love them. You have to decide what it is that you're standing for and what it is that you think that you deserve. And when yesterday I said that I really agreed with Paula about you need to love yourself first so that you can then recognize when someone is disrespecting you and then when someone is also bringing value into your life and bringing happiness in your life. And if in this situation, all I've seen so far, and this is what episode 9, is Annabelle talking about how all the things she doesn't like about Shay, but yet she still loves him. I think that, you got to think about your self-worth in this situation. 4 years in, and he's only ever lied and cheated on you, and now he's disrespecting you to your face, and you've only been there for 30 days.
Yeah.
It just couldn't be me.
I too think that she should leave him, but I do think we also have to acknowledge that somebody's perception of love and self-worth can only be as good as the circumstances that they come from.
You're right.
So Paul is in a situation where she can go back to wherever she lived in Brazil and she won't suffer any.
Yeah.
There won't be an issue about where is she going to eat, where is she going to live. She will not suffer. I can't say the same for Annabelle. I don't remember her talking much about her family except for that they all lived together, which doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't have money.
That's right.
But we don't know what the situation is that she came from and whether or not she's able to make a decision in a vacuum of, is he treating me right or is he not treating me right? Or if she also has to consider, well, if I don't stay with him, where will I live? What will I eat? What will I do? What will I eat? We don't know if those are considerations that she also has to deal with.
100%, you're absolutely 100% right, and I 100% agree with you. On the pop up Becca's comment, she said, "My grandmother lived in a mobile home and it was really nice inside." And I apologize to everyone, all of our viewers. I'm sorry. I learned. I just didn't know. So I was speaking from ignorance. Now I understand. And I am sure many mobile homes, because I even like the little tiny homes, some of them are really beautiful. So I understand. I apologize for my ignorance. I'm sorry.
I mean, like, you just didn't know. People think they're, and I didn't know until I started traveling that a lot of people in other countries, that like this is not an option for housing. Mobile homes are not an option for housing, and so people are just not really used to seeing them. But
At
they're
all.
really big communities. Linda, because you've only been in cities in the United States, you would never have needed to see any of this. But when I lived in Marietta, which is, just a few miles outside of Atlanta, we lived in between two trailer park communities. And then like our housing neighborhood was in the middle of it. And even people here will have negative attitudes about it. Like people kept asking me that I worked with, when are you going to move out of the ghetto? Like I'm like, I like my neighborhood. I like where I live. I like the kids around here.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, I've just never seen it. And I guess the ignorance comes from what I've seen on TV, and it just didn't seem like people actually. Like, anyways, I've learned, I know better, so I will say and do better. Thank you for schooling me, and no harm, no foul. There were no ill will. I was just surprised. That's all.
Every day we learn something new.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Becca.
That being said, thank you guys for being with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Head over to our personal social medias, Linda's So Girly, Abby the Attorney, for all things lifestyle, red carpet, celebrity, life, all the things. Until next time, toodles.
Toodles. Bye-bye.
Girl, I was about to go off on this